What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, here again. That rhymes. Coming to you live, more or less, from a small island off the coast of Costa Rica, affectionately referred to as Site B, here at 10 o'clock in the morning on a foggy, depressing May 16th morning in the year of our Savior, John Cena, 2023. I'm drinking coffee because I knew I was going to need caffeine, because Paizo has presented us with the second and final draft of the ORC. Yay! Finally. Is it too late? I don't know, but it's out. And we're going to go through the shorter version. Now, I know there's a couple questions that are very high on priority. We're going to try and decipher all this legalese into words that I think you and I can understand. I can't guarantee I'm going to do a good job. Tanker over at Tanker Tavern did it last night, and we know he's smarter than me. That's not saying much. Or GGM, your average box of cereal is smarter than you. Yes, I know. But still, he has that career in law enforcement, and I have a career in childcare. So, coffee. But because this is going to be boring, here are some pictures of kittens first. Oh, okay. Draft only. Feedback requested. The ORC AXE. Answers and explanations for the ORC license 2023-515 from Azora Law. 1. The ORC license in plain English. I tried to put it on a professional voice now. Hello, yes, blah, blah, blah. The ORC license provides a way for game creators to openly share the mechanics of their games and allows for downstream users to freely use, modify, and reshare adaptations of these game mechanics. Downstream? I don't know why that muted that word, but whatever. With an openly shared under the ORC is known as licensed material, includes the broad functional elements of the game, such as stat blocks, game rules, character attributes, and the methods and systems inherent in playing the game. Hashtag, this is not a rules set. This is the legalese that which you can put your rule set under and be protected by. So if you want to do something for game, this will hopefully protect you. But if you want to do something for different game, this will hopefully also protect you. This is a blanket protection. This is not a rule system. As well as anything else the licensor explicitly wants to share. The license is broad and lets you use the licensed material globally in connection with printed books, video games, podcasts, AI, or any other technology that may exist or be created in the future. I like that one. What is not shared under the ORC is known as product identity and includes trademarks, world lore, story arcs, distinctive characters, and visual arts, i.e. doppelganger, mimic, mind flayer. If the creator wants to share their project identity under the ORC, they can do that, but they need to make express declaration in their ORC. Notice, otherwise it remains their exclusive property. So if you make something that you want to wholly control and nobody else ever use, the ORC says, yes, it's yours unless you specifically say otherwise. So, again, if I make something for game and everything I put in there is pretty much copied from game, then yeah, you can use it too because it's already out there. Again, remember, this is not a rule set, it's a license. But then in game, I put something that's specific to me and I don't want anybody else to use that. Then that is mine. But everything else is part of game. I just made a supplement for game. So, of course, you can use it because game. Under the ORC, you can use, share, adapt, and build on the licensed material however you see fit, so long as you give proper attribution in the form of a notice in your published work. This notice both credits the upstream licensor and the contribution to the work, as well as provides an easy way for downstream users to credit the author of the work in which notices appears. Again, so yes, I want to give credit to game that I copied game, and then in the future, if you want to copy what I copied, you want to give credit to yourself, credit to me and credit to game. So we want everybody to know about everybody else, so all that money can cross, advertise and cross-pollinate. By using material licensed under the ORC, you automatically agree to license out your game mechanics and your published work under the same terms. If you develop your own product identity, that is your exclusive property. No one has the power to change or revoke the ORC license. Once the licensed material is out there, it is out there forever, as long as the copyright lasts, which is 7 years? The official version will be registered with the U.S. Library of Congress through copyright registration to be used as a resource, but you will probably be able to find it in many locations on the internet. The ORC is dedicated to public domain and is free to use for anyone and everyone. Kitten break. Dum 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 dum. Meow 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 meow. Okay. Definitions, philosophy, and background. How does the ORC work? Blah, 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 blah. The ORC license can be used by anyone to open their game up to for others to use. The ORC license is a game system agnostic. If you put the ORC notice in your work, then any product identity that is expressly dedicated to the gaming community, as well as all your game mechanics that do not qualify as product identity, are open for others to use under the ORC license. While there are strong arguments regarding the degree to which pure game mechanics are subject to copyright placing, this notice in your work removes any doubt that makes these mechanics expressly available under license. Do we have an license yet? All you have to do is put the ORC notice in your product and you're done. The ORC notice looks like this, except, of course, you can't use it yet because it's got this gigantic draft-only feedback requested thing. So even if I wanted to use this, I can't. Because blah, 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 blah. Legally is big thing. So even though the ORC technically exists, you can't use it yet. Or can you? I don't know. We'll keep reading and see. Why did you recreate the ORC? We know why you created it. We were there. Role-playing games do an amazing job of infusing protectable creative description with unprotectable game rules in a way that is challenging to separate under copyright law. The complexity has been a stifling effect on creativity in our industry. No, it hasn't. We're being pretty creative and pretty outrageous up till the point of January 6th. Then, the OGL thing happens. We created the ORC to be a tool that gives you the right to use an ORC licenser's protectable game mechanics easily and confidentially. The ORC license grants the user a license to the copyright protection that exists in this complex form of intellectual property without publishers having to hire lawyers to separate that which is copyright protected from that which isn't. The whole point of the ORC is to give the gaming community comfort, confidence, and certainty. It gives our community a license that is not reliant on any one company. And it gives our community a license that is not reliant on any one company. I don't know who they could be talking about. Hasbro. The ORC license substantially reduces the threat of litigation regarding these matters, which could easily bankrupt a small publisher who is in the right and operating in good faith. This is how we create the open source community refers to as a virtuous cycle involving our game to be the best they can be. Understand that? Any questions? You get what they're saying here? Is anybody even watching me? Kitten break. Bam, 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 bam. Damn, 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 kitten. See, I'm going to put these kitten breaks in between to sort of like, refreshen the palate. It's like eating a piece of ginger after sushi. It just refreshes the palate. Drink a little glass of water, move on. Why is the license so complicated? Because this is 2023 and we live in the United States and legalese. We wish it was less complicated too. We opted for simplicity wherever possible, but we were faced with the decision between precision and simplicity. We opted for precision. Slicing copyright in half is challenging. We want this to last for a very, very, very long time and resist all imaginable legal challenges from, I don't know, If we could have found a way to make it simpler, we could have done so. Sure, you could have made it simpler. Pictures, examples, the same thing I said the first time. Make it like WikiHow, little box with a little picture with a little generic humanoid showing people how this works. Who controls the ORC license? No one controls the ORC license. I'm going to make silly voices to make this more interesting too. As I drink my coffee. We felt it crucial that there was no parent organization. Any human controlled organization can be politicized, acquired, or corrupted. True. The licensee derives integrity from not having the capacity to be updated or revised. No update could be permitted to change their pre-existing license until the copyright expires. And no licensor or licensee could be forced to accept third-party proposed revisions. If someone in the future wants to propose a new license, they can always do that. If there's no organization, who enforces the ORC license? The Library of Congress. If you breach the ORC license, all the upstream licensors can sue you to enforce the license, but the remedy is limited to bringing you into compliance with the license. If you breach the timely remedy, the license is reinstated from the date of breach. We have intentionally not specified a jurisdiction, which means that anyone suing to enforce the ORC will likely need to bring the dispute in your jurisdiction. This is a tool intended to discourage legislation. Kitten break. All right, what does that mean? That means you live in Iowa, and I live in Ventura, California, and I use something from Game, and you're in Iowa, and you see Game, and you go, wait a minute, the OGGM used that, and that's mine. I want to sue him. I'm going to sue you, OGGM. And you go to a lawyer, and the lawyer looks at the legalese on the license and goes, well, this is protected by the Library of Congress and copyright. So, yeah, in order to sue him, you have to get him into your jurisdiction. And you're going to have to pay for it because you want to sue him. So if you're suing him here in the state of Iowa, you got to bring him to Iowa, and you got to pay for it. Now, if you're suing him in where he lives, in California, you got to go to California, pay for it, do all the filing, and then sue him in California. Well, that sounds like it's very, very expensive. Yeah. Now, how much money do you think I'm going to get out of this if I win the lawsuit? I don't know, like maybe $500. It's small claims at best. Yeah, it's probably not worth it. I'll just badmouth him on Twitter, which is far more effective. Can the ORC license be updated? Can it be revoked or amended? The ORC license cannot be updated, amended, repealed, or revoked, or deauthorized by anyone. Not ever. There will be no subsequent versions, future versions, until there are some, until the copyright expires. Yes, it can. Anything can be repealed, updated, revoked, overwritten, if enough time and energy is invested in it. I mean, there are laws in the Constitution dating back to the 1800s. They've just been overwritten or ignored. So, yeah. Is that 100% true? No. Is it 99% true? Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, the amount of time and energy it would take somebody to do that really isn't worth it. So, yeah. For as long as the copyright lasts, it's fine. Why did Azora register copyright in the ORC license? Because they're the lawyers. We needed a system to assure that no one could modify the ORC license once it was released. We decided that by putting it on file as a registered copyright with the U.S. Library of Congress, if there ever was a dispute, there would be unalterable disinterested party, the U.S. government, that could hold the original. We don't want a controlling organization because any organizations can be politicized. There was no host site we could find that we could guarantee to you that would never alter the license or manipulate the terms. We hope the license lasts many decades, and thinking about the distant future is daunting because of as much as possible. Azora law will never enforce copyright in the ORC license and hereby dedicate it to the public domain. Like game mechanics, there isn't much copyright protection for the instructions anyways, because you can't copyright a game, but this is the best we can do. So if you want to copy, distribute, display, or make derivatives based on the ORC license, knock yourself out. We just want you to make money and get along and stop arguing with each other. Thank you, Paizo. they're basically saying it's a fucking game. No one cares. Get over it. Why not Creative Commons? Well, there's two problems, which Wizards of the Coast neglected to mention when they took Wizards of the Coast's 5e over to the Creative Commons. Oh, did we not mention this? Whoops. 1. It's a share-alike license, under which initial licensor can limit the licensed material to the creative expression of game mechanics. Unfortunately, a share-alike provision requires the downstream community to share their entire work without the ability to designate product ability retained by the original publisher. What does that mean? Well, it means if I make something under the Wizards of the Coast Creative Commons and use it exactly as printed, it becomes theirs, and I lose all rights to it. And Wizards of the Coast has been very factual about the fact that, yep, it's ours. So Wizards of the Coast released some of their content under CC BY 4.0, which was the wrong one to put it under, which gives everyone the right to use the contents of the SRD they designated, except for the copyrighted material, which they accidentally put in the SRD. This was a wonderful assurance for the gaming community that 5e could confidentially be used forever, at least till next year. Unfortunately, if another company builds on that SRD, like Wizards of the Coast, their innovations are trapped in their product and not automatically licensed to the gaming community. This effectively kills the virtuous cycle that open source communities are built on. What does that mean in English? I have no frickin' idea. Kitten break. Let's read that one again. Okay, so Wizards of the Coast released the SRD on Creative Commons. They released it under the wrong Creative Commons, whether on purpose or by accident. Wizards of the Coast put copyright material in the Creative Commons and then said you can't use our copyright material. These guys are saying, hey, great, you can use the 5e as long as it remains. But if Wizards of the Coast or any company changes that 5e, well, then it's not automatically relicensed. And this effectively kills the virtuous cycle, and all the money would then go upstream to the original creator, who would then gain control of it, which is Wizards of the Coast. Can I pull stuff out of the ORC license once I put it in there? Nope. Once you release your content under the ORC license, you have given the world the right to use your licensed content in the product forever under the terms and conditions of the ORC. So as long as your thing is protected by the ORC, I could use it and you can't say anything about it. Unless you specifically went out of your way to say, nope, you cannot use this. Can I use the IRC to license other stuff? Yes, you can. You can use it on any sort of thing you can imagine that technically qualifies as a game. How long does the ORC last? Forever. The ORC license technically lasts for the life of the copyrights, but when copyright protection expires, you can still use the content because the point is to become public domain and everyone use it without restrictions. So when it expires, and I think, what's that, 7 years, 10 years? Somebody's going to have to renew it, or it'll just become public domain. But I think that's sort of the point, is they want anybody who can use the ORC to use the ORC and use it any way you want. It's not like it's Mickey Mouse. Oh, wait, the copyright also ran out on Mickey Mouse. Does the ORC require the use of an SRD? Well, some publishers are likely to release SRDs under the ORC to make the declaration between licensed content and product identity absolutely clear. The license itself does not require you to blah, 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 blah. Kitten break. Oh, look at that one. Oh, I should show you guys Steve. One person is watching me do this. Exciting. Okay, so basically what this is saying is you could put something out. You don't need to include an SRD unless it's something brand new. So if I put out a product for game, I don't have to include the rules for game and an SRD for game because it's already out there. All I have to do is release the stuff that I'm adding to and say for use with game. And you would hopefully go, okay, I need to then go buy game if I don't already have it, or go to the website of game and download the SRD for free. Let's use, who is currently, I don't know, Tales from the Valiant. Do I need to download and put a copy of the Tales from the Valiant SRD in my product? No, because as long as I say approved for use with Tales from the Valiant, I can just go and get the SRD for free or, for relatively cheap. We're still confused about what Tales of the Valiant Cobalt Press is talking about in regards to their SRD, which is why I use them. I primarily produce game content of mechanics, nature, spells, magic items, etc., with very little content that could be considered product identity. With so little to hold back as mine, it feels like my publishing strategy gets fewer protections under the ORC than others who have a higher percentage of non-mechanical material they can hold back for themselves. Is there any way I can designate more of my mechanical content as product identity? No. While creating this type of mechanical content may involve just as much effort as creating product identity, copyright protection is not based on the sweat of the brow. All users of the ORC license agree to contribute all their mechanical content to downstream users. If that contribution does not fit your publishing strategy or you feel that doing so is too generous, it is likely the ORC is not the best option for that product. Bam! I have created an entire book of spells, and I want to include it with the work of spell from another product under the ORC license. Does this require that all the other rule mechanics in my spellbook are automatically available for downstream users to reference and use in their products? Yes, using the ORC license within a work means licensing the relative portions of the entire work. Other people can make money off your shit. Where is the precise line between licensed content and product identity within, say, the content of a spell description? I understand that the spell's range and area and numerical effects would all be considered licensed content. But what about the descriptive text within the spell, such as the manifestation of a baleful howl as a secondary effect, or a flavor of how the spell has the physical appearance of a beam of sickly green light? The license clarifies that the product identity is that which is not essential to or can be verified without altering the game. So if a baleful nature of the howl or the color of the light affects the gameplay, then it is licensed content. It is the intention of the ORC that licensed content is a broad definition that includes physical and visual descriptive languages supporting the mechanical nuts and bolts game context. That includes the above-mentioned baleful howl and beam of sickly green light. The exception here comes in the form of product identity, such as including the name of a famous wizard, Blimble's Busting Bunyan, or the detail of certain spell was originally developed by the fell brethren of the Bonnie Bubblestern, etc. Kitten break. No, look at that one. All right, what does that one mean? I have no clue. Okay, I guess what they're saying is the mechanics belong to the SRD/ORC, and the mechanics anybody can use. Anything that you make specific to your world using words and things that you feel you hold the copyright to, then that gets into that wibbly wobbly area of stuff. Is it theirs? Is it yours? Basically, can other people make money off my shit? And it sounds generally like, yeah, they can, unless you're very specific about it. I got the license to build an RPG based on the newest Hollywood blockbuster. Can I use the ORC license to publish my RPG without putting any licensors' protected rights or risks? Definitely. The product identity of third parties remains protected under the ORC. So if you have a license to create RPG for the big sports league, movie franchise, or entertainment brand, you can license those RPGs out under the ORC without jeopardizing those third-party assets. We have negotiated with most of the big movie studios and sports leagues, and while they are often come to the table wanting to own everything, including the game mechanics, we have rarely failed to educate them and eventually get clauses put in their contracts that are acknowledged that they do not own the game system, which is at the heart of the ORC. Perfect example, the new Marvel Multiverse system. Marvel owns the rights to Spider-Man. Well, so does Sony. Okay, so that's a bad example. But you know what I mean. So you cannot use Spider-Man. But you can use whatever mechanics you want to stat out Spider-Man, as long. Now they're saying the company can't do anything about this. That's no. That's yeah. They could. If Marvel wanted to go after you, they could. We've talked about this before in regards to Disney and all the unofficial Disney product that's out there and why Disney doesn't bother. Could Disney go after all that unofficial content product out there all over the world? Sure. Is it worth their time, effort, and money? Absolutely not. Will they get anything out of it? No, they won't. It is a lot easier to let them use it because they know eventually they will still make money off of that because those people will still inevitably buy official Disney stuff or come to Disneyland. And if they lose a few bucks on an unofficial Disney t-shirt that you bought at a gas station, they're like, oh, well, we will more than make it up when that same person comes to Disneyland and spends several $1,000s. So, big deal. So, can the studio or the big sports league go after you because you use their things and they're like, no, that blah, blah, blah? Sure. Are they going to? Probably not. Again, it's a saying. The rules, Marvel doesn't own the rules unless Marvel wrote the rules. If you wrote the rules and got the license from Marvel, like the people who are making the King Kong thing and the Pacific Rim thing, all the images and stuff and that's owned by the company that made Pacific Rim. They're giving them the right to use that, but they own the system. Can I say which primary game my product is built on? Of course. The trademark legal doctrine of limited fair use, blah, 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 blah. You don't care. Can I publish product that uses both the ORC license and the OGL? How about using other ORC with Creative Commons? Licensing out original content, you can always license your own original game system for third parties to use under their one license. Licensing out derivative content is licensed someone else's game mechanics that's put you on the property. You can roll that content over to the ORC and list a licensor from whom you license the content. Also agree. What? This is where we need examples. Because I'm not sure what this is saying. So I guess the question is, can I use the OGL and the ORC? And the answer seems to be no. Despite that, if you published an OGL product, you could strip out any protectable expressions of game mechanics you received under the OGL license and release the new product under the ORC. So if you use things that are 100% specific to the OGL, you would have to take those out so they would be protected by the ORC. In regards to the Creative Commons, you may not offer or impose any additional different terms or conditions on the licensed material if doing so restricts excessive things. We believe the ORC imposes different terms because it applies only to game mechanics or design product identity and not all copyright content, while Creative Commons comes some other things. The censorship thing is still a thing, right? People are still concerned about that. What about digital rights? Digital rights are fully included. Does the ORC require that I provide source code written for software that implements or assists in the licensed content? There is no language in the ORC requires the licensor to provide anything beyond the work as it's sold to end users. No license is granted under the ORC to a specific software code. Only game mechanics and certain expressly designated product identity are licensed. So if the licensor programs game mechanics and puts them in an electronic game where the game mechanics are obscured, it is the license job to reverse engineer the game mechanics to use them in a different product. The licensor has no duty to provide this. If you create an electronic game based on the ORC content, you are free to do that, but you are obligated to give back to the gaming community only the new game mechanics that you developed and incorporated into your product. We realize that some larger software product distributors, they require you to assign all rights in your code to them. This would be a violation of the ORC, and you perverted from grabbing them those rights. It's still confusing, especially in a lot of areas, but definitely brings out, basically, I think it breaks out to, we can make money off your shit. Let's go to the other one, because I know people are concerned about that censorship clause. So that was just the Ask Me Anything questions and answers, which didn't really questions and answer anything, did it? So let's go. There's the other one. Product identity, license material, assisted license material, copyright and similar rights, effective technological manner, license rights, Jettispace rights, work and works, derivative works, primary grant to use, grant of adopted license material by you, database rights, limitations. Here we go. Moral rights such as the right of integrity are not licensed under this ORC license. No are publicity, privacy, and or other similar personnel rights, however, to the extent of the publisher. The licensor waives and or agrees not to assist any such rights held by the licensor to the limited extent necessary to allow you to exercise the licensor's rights, but otherwise. To the extent possible, the licensor waives any rights to collect royalties from you for the exercise of the license right and use the licensed material, whether directly or through the collective society under a voluntary blah, blah, blah. So there is no, it feels like there is no license to moral rights. There's also a copy of the ORC notice if you want to put it on your product, but again, it has the huge draft only. Yeah. Kitten break. All right, I'm not a lawyer, so you could probably go over to Tanker Tavern's link down below and watch him go through it because he's slightly smarter than me, and he does have that background in law enforcement. My brain is still trying to wrap around a lot of it, but basically it seems to say, yes, you can release stuff under the ORC. You can make up what any game system you want, or you can make stuff for pre-existing game mechanics. But you do not solely own the product. So if a year from now somebody wants to copy and paste what you made under the ORC and put it out there and they make more money than you did, they don't owe you anything. Basically, you're right. We can make money off of your crap unless you specifically say you cannot use this. And even then, it enters into a wibbly wobbly questionable area of, is it really worth your time and money to go after them? I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I'm reading. You tell me. You can download this yourself. It's free for download on the Paizo site. You tell me what you're thinking. Do I love it? I mean, it requires, if as somebody who makes product, and wants to, supplement their income like this, is like, well, I haven't made anything original enough that I'd be worried if somebody else copied it. In fact, I'd be grateful because it's free press. But for other people, it's they might be looking at this and going, well, wait a minute. This means other people can make money off of my creation, and I don't see a dime for that. Once I make that available under the ORC, I don't know if I'm comfortable with that. Or at least I think that's what it says. I know there was the concern about the censorship, and I can't find it in there. So I guess, again, is it up to them to go after you? I mean, really, the worst proponent is word of mouth. Any legal mumbo jumbo is just second nature to the Twitterverse. So if the Twitterverse is offended by your product, it doesn't matter if it's protected by the ORC. But the ORC says I can show tiddlies in my project, and I'm protected. And the Twitterverse will be like, well, we don't freaking care. We hate tiddlies. So we're going to badmouth you and death threat you and make sure you don't make any money off of this product because it has tiddlies in it. And then you're like, oh, well, fuck, I'm screwed. And then a year later, somebody makes the exact same product, but just doesn't include the tiddlies. And people are like, oh, I love this product. I want to buy it. And you're like, wait, that was my product. And they're like, we don't care. You can't do anything about it. I think. Am I wrong? I don't know. Let me know. I'm not. I'm doing my best here, but I don't know if I'm doing it right. I gotta admit. Do I 100% love the ORC? No. Is it better than the Wizards of the Coast SRD? Yeah. So far, it feels like it. Yeah, it feels like. It feels I'm still like I'm gonna get screwed by using the ORC, but it feels like I'm gonna get less screwed than I would be if I was using the Wizard SRD. So most of my stuff is system agnostic anyways. It doesn't really bother me right now, but if I were to make things for Castles and Crusades or Wretched or Shadow Dark in the future, and I, with the intention of I want to make money, like real money, I might be concerned about it. What it really needs is a WikiHow. I think all legal documents should include a WikiHow with pictures and maybe, an animated cartoon telling you how to do it, like those old animated cartoons, that told you how to buckle up your seatbelt on the airplane, or, what your colon was. Bink. Here's the ORC with your host, Orky the Orc. Bink. Hi, kid. Yeah, that's what it would need. That it would need a little slideshow with an animated character talking you and telling you in simple to understand English what you can and cannot do. I don't know if I've did it justice. I assume anybody else out there who wants to read it can read it, and feel free to comment down below. And hopefully you understand it better than I do. It hurts my brain. That's why I had the coffee. Are we in a better position now than we were in January if we choose to use the ORC? Well, it all comes back down to game mechanics can't really be copyright. So specific things can be copyright, and protected and trademarked. Beholder. Well, you don't own the word beholder. That word has existed forever. But you do own a very specific interpretation of beholder. And only you can use that very specific. But I could call something else a beholder, and as long as it doesn't look or act like the beholder that they own, then maybe I could get away with it. I don't know. It's the Mickey Mouse thing. Can I put Mickey Mouse on a t-shirt and sell it outside my house? Yes. Technically, I can. Am I violating their copyright? Well, not anymore. They let the copyright go. Sure. Are they going to bother doing anything about it? Well, every now and then they have to make a token attempt to go after some of the larger illegal third-party people who make Mickey Mouse stuff, but they know those guys are going to just make new stuff under a different name. But in order to maintain the facade of the copyright, like once or twice a year, they have to go after somebody. But at the end of the day, they don't care. It's the amount of money they lose on the unofficial Mickey Mouse shirt is way overwhelmed by the potential money they will make when that people come to Disneyland and buy all their other official shit. If we're talking, shekels and how much money Disney makes in regards to stuff, well, Toy Story breaks them in like $10 billion a year. So they're not worried if you're making $5 on an unofficial Woody t-shirt. So yeah, don't know what I'm talking about anymore, but you get the general idea. Basically it breaks down to, we can make money off of your shit. But maybe I'm wrong. And now, speaking of money, why don't we just ignore the last 30 minutes? And instead, why don't we just head on over to Big Geek Emporium and buy my stuff instead and save all this nonsense? It's $2 a piece. I will not sue you if you buy it. I will not send the Pinkertons. Head on over to Big Geek Emporium. Buy issue 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 issues of Minions on a Mission, available $2 each, exclusively for now on Big Geek Emporium till July Best way to spend your gaming money is to buy the OGGM's merch. Links down below. That is all I have to say. If you want to read the ORC yourself, it's available for free. If you want to watch Tanker talk about it, I posted a link to his site. It is now time to take a break because, oh God, that was exhausting. I'll talk to y'all later.